Hello, everyone, and welcome to our newly created Silver Wings podcast. My name is Justin Vence, and I'm your National Vice President. In today's first episode, your National President, Michael Thompson, and myself will be introducing the podcast series in a discussion between the both of us about numerous topics, including our purpose for this podcast, our journey in Silver Wings, and much more. Please sit back and listen to our first podcast. We hope you enjoy. Hey everybody, my name is Justin Vence, and I'm your National Vice President.
Hi everyone, I'm Michael Thompson, and I am your National President.
So a lot of you who are listening, you might be wondering, what are we doing? This is a little bit different, especially for NAT staff. And so we're gonna just kind of talk about, what we're doing. So what we're doing right now is actually a podcast, and I know it's not normal for Silver Wings to be a podcast, but it was actually something that we really wanted to do. And I know for me, it all started, it's a whole long story, but for me, when we wanted to become NAT staff, we were kind of throwing out ideas. The year just ended. Nick Carrigan just finished out his term. April finished out her term. And we're just kind of come up with all these new ideas and how we can make Silver Wings better and just more cool and, bring all these new, fresh ideas to the table. And one of them was these podcasts. So, Michael and I, we're going to kind of talk about what we want to pull from these. And, we're not just going to be talking. It's not going to just be me and him. But what we plan to do is have countless and numerous guest speakers from all different fields, different career fields, whether it be medical, business, financial, and even military. And so that way we can get different perspectives from not only the military, but also from the civilian, because that's what we are. We're a civilian organization. Wouldn't you agree, Michael?
Definitely.
And we want you guys who are listening. I know a lot of times you stress and, you say, everything seems that it's like so military oriented, but this is our chance to really plug ourselves into the world and really present you guys with these opportunities and these guest speakers who will provide you with insight on their career fields and any advice that they have. And something that me and Michael have talked about is that each podcast will have a different theme. And at first we were kind of thinking, okay, well, we'll just, each guest speaker will kind of talk about leadership stuff, right? But me and Michael, feel free to just touch up on that. We wanted it to be different. Otherwise, if each podcast is talking about leadership, it's kind of going to be vanilla. It's not going to be anything special, and people are probably not going to want to listen to it again. But if it's a theme that kind of applies to them, then they'll listen. So one podcast, we can talk about leadership, right? And then a next podcast, we can talk about resiliency or something like that. But even, like time management, or just talking about people and how to be successful in a certain career field, or how to plan ahead for a certain career field and so forth. And, there's going to be countless themes that we're going to go over, and hopefully we can get a amount of podcasts in here. So our goal was to have at least one a month with a notable speaker. And so this is our very first podcast. So we don't necessarily have guests, but we do have your National Vice President and National President. And I think it's an awesome opportunity for you to get to know us. So I guess we can talk about ourselves, right, Michael? I guess we can talk about where we came from. So you want to talk about you? I've been talking all this time. So let's start with you. Tell us your story.
So our story and what led up to the podcast, really. So my freshman year in Silver Wings, I was a ROTC cadet, Air Force ROTC cadet for a semester, and I dropped for a semester just to kind of get into college, and I asked my captain how I could still stay involved, and she told me to join Silver Wings. So I showed up for a meeting, I believe it was February, and I decided to join, and I guess by April, right before NatCon, there was enough people in the chapter just to be on every staff position for the chapter for the fall, and I ended up being chapter vice president.
And I guess that's kind of where I come to the story. So that was being from Michael. So for me, I'm a cadet in ROTC, and it's a great time. But at the time, I wanted to join Arnold Air Society. It was my freshman year. I didn't know what was going on, but Arnold Air Society was that cool club that everyone was joining. I think almost everybody wanted to be in there. And this is actually when we did fall and spring candidacy. And I think because of the fall candidacy, I was so new to school. I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea how college classes worked. I had no idea how ROTC worked. So I think I waited, if I remember correctly, till the spring semester to do it. But unfortunately, and not to throw any dirt on Arnold Air Society, but they asked us if we wanted to join, and I remember signing up, and I got added to a group chat, but then they didn't add me to the group chat. Basically, that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is that afterwards, I had no more interest in joining because I felt like nothing really fell through. Nothing really happened. And so with that, Mr. Michael Thompson came by and said, "Hey, Justin, I think you should join Silver Wings." And at first, I was like, "Oh, I don't know. Like what is Silver Wings?" At the time, I didn't really know what it was. He's like, "Well, it's, to us, everyone in RTC that said it was where all the kids who couldn't be in RTC went." And that sounds so horrible. But honestly, Silver Wings is so great. And so, he recruited me. And I remember, man, he just threw all this stuff on my plate. And it's like, "This is what you need to do, become a member." And I was like, holy mackerel. I was like, I need to get to work. And, I had to take the national test. And I had to create a service project. And wow, that service project was something else. I'm not going to lie. I remember Michael always said I looked like a chicken running with my head cut off, which I don't know is a good thing or a bad thing. But we did a soup kitchen. We did the soup kitchen. That was honestly a blast because I'm not going to lie, it was probably the first time that I ever made 2 big pans of ziti, and it did not go so well. But the important matter is that we fed 80 plus people, right? Something like that.
Yeah. And there were quite a few veterans in there as well.
Yeah, there were quite a few veterans. Families came through. They were so happy. That was the best part. I remember, and then somebody brought all these sweet potatoes. You remember that? They brought all these sweet potatoes, and we created, it was so great. We created those goodie bags. But we did it twice, so I can't remember if that was the first or second time. I think it was the first time.
I think it was the first time, yeah.
And we just put so much effort into it, and it was so awesome. And basically what I want to say, Silver Wings for me, if Michael hadn't, stepped up and done a good job of recruiting me and showing me for what Silver Wings really was, I don't think I'd be here today. And so, doing that service project, not necessarily forcing me, but saying, "Hey, you got to be the spearhead of this operation. You got to lead this. You can run ideas past me, but you got to get the crew. You got to delegate tasks." And I remember a whole bunch of people signed up to bring food, and I'm pretty sure they never showed up. So, but thankfully we had enough food, barely. But yeah, that's kind of how I got into Silver Wings, which kind of just leads us to today, I guess. And but then I guess after those were like our chapter level positions, and then it brings us to our region. And I remember Michael coming to me one day. I was just, at the time, I was joint relations officer in Silver Wings. I was still doing school, and it's like, "Hey, we're going to be running for region staff, and would you like to be the national vice president?" Of course, he already had a first option in mind before me, but is okay. No offense.
Yeah, putting together a bid for region staff, though, was, without Justin, probably wouldn't have happened, honestly.
Well, I guess that brings us to because originally my first Archon experience was online. It was probably like the weirdest thing ever, honestly. I remember we were in suits. I can't remember if it was like a Saturday or a Sunday. It was just, we were in the detachment sitting there for about 5 hours. And other than that, it was interesting. I know, thankfully I've actually been to a real Archon, which we hosted at Mississippi State, and that was a blast. So that's what a real Archon should have looked like. And, thankfully I got to go to that one. But our first one was online, so it was a little different. But thankfully we had no competition for region staff, right? So we were good to go on that, and they liked us. They approved of us. And so it went really well. But I definitely think, and Michael, I'd like to hear your points, but like being region staff was like the beginning of pretty much, being in the chapter level was the beginning of our journey, but like region staff was kind of like our launch pad to where we are today. So, do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, it definitely is. And really getting that virtual Archon experience, thankfully we have that for where we are today.
Definitely. Yeah. With CyberCon being online, it wasn't necessarily new to Michael and I. We were pretty seasoned with having online presentations, everything, so we weren't really shocked. We were disappointed that I didn't get to go to Vegas, and but the coronavirus did its thing, and unfortunately we couldn't go. But I guess let's talk more about like why Silver Wings is important to us, right? So we talked about kind of our history. Because we'll talk about Nat staff too. Actually, let's talk about that, right? Let's talk about Nat staff first. So we were in region staff and everything, and it was an awesome experience. Michael actually won the award for region president of the year because he did such an awesome job. And Michael, I'm going to talk. I want you to talk about it because you had a lot more exposure with the EMC and the NACs and everything. So I want you to talk about the region staff.
So region staff, it was a once in a lifetime opportunity, really, getting to lead an entire region of people. As Region 5 is, we're small but mighty. The Velociraptors, of course. But really, just bringing all these people together, leading. It was 4 chapters, now 5. That was just a lot of fun, getting to know people from different states and seeing different perspectives of things. And the amazing team that I had behind me, of course, I wouldn't have received the Outstanding Region President of the Year award without them.
He says that, but we all know Michael could survive without us. He can do anything if he puts his mind to it. Michael actually got to go to DTC to go to exec board, so I didn't get to experience that amazing time away in the beginning of the school year, but he did. And it was actually at National Harbor, right? DC. So
Yeah.
I've actually been there before at the Gaylord Hotel, that massive, I don't know what you'd call it, but it's a hotel center. It's got a big guard in the middle. And I think I just realized recently that's where it is. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've been there. And like, I really hope we get to go to exec boards because that National Harbor is really awesome, and just explore DC. But I'm sorry, you can go.
With region staff, really just having national staff behind you and the EMC, all these people that you know are on your team, that's really what helps make you successful, along with your team that's behind you.
Definitely. And for all those region presidents who are listening to this, which I hope you are, you can get a lot of good advice from this. And this is, I think, Michael, you said, didn't you, that it's not very common for region staff to move up to NAT staff, right?
I believe that we're the first in a number of years.
Yeah. And why? I know you told me, but why was it? Do you think it's because they get burned out?
I think many region presidents get burned out, or most graduate before they can really get the opportunity to move up to national staff.
Yeah. And I think for you, you say your team was important, and I agree with that. I just joke around when I say, I know you could do it without us, but if you notice, like for this year, I think it's hard for people to really recruit a full team. And it's so important because, we've talked to so many people in Silver. We have like 3 positions on the chapter level, and they help lead so many. And some people are they're just the president on the region team. And so for Michael, I think, what was so successful is that some people weren't out of school. We had a PA, Joy, who was at another school. That was kind of the only person. She was the only one, right, who was outside, who didn't go to our school. We kind of had she was extended from a different school. But it was such an awesome time. And, being a part of that, Michael giving me all these tasks, it was really fun. But I really think that, being a region staff was really where I truly understood like what Silver Wings was. And especially going to NatCon. Like going to NatCon was so important for me. And I didn't realize that at the time, but after I was like, holy mackerel. I said, this organization is legit. Like we're and like I don't know, I felt like a businessman, like you're traveling for business sessions. I remember when I gave my teachers the the letter of excuse you for class, like we're going to CheeseCon at the time, was the NatCon that I'm referring to, which was awesome. And my teachers, all of them said, wow, this is like such a great opportunity. Like, go ahead, skip class. Like, this is so much better. And I was like, okay. But golly, being there was so awesome. 4 of us crammed in one hotel room. That was a blast. And, it was business sessions, of course, but afterwards, like, there were just so many memories. Like, finally, when you're in your chapter in your region level at the schools, you really don't see it all come together. But NatCon is like the pinnacle. It's like everything you've worked for, you get to come together and like finally see all those faces. And it just, I don't know, it was so cool for me. But I'm sure it was even more cool for you.
Yeah, it was definitely cool. It was my first NatCon, and getting to go as a region president was just phenomenal. Getting to see really what you're a part of.
Yeah, I remember when Michael pre-made the business cards when at NatCon he whipped those out like ninja stars, and it was the funniest thing ever, and it was so cool. Michael was very, very excited to be region president, and honestly, I think it was because of his enthusiasm that he was so successful. It was because of his enthusiasm. And so for all those listening, I think that's so important, is having that enthusiasm and that energy. And I know a lot of times, like even especially over the summer, we talk about it all the time, Michael, like the summer is like your time to shine. That's time to get stuff done, because there may be some deadlines, but you don't have school. Like when school's in session, it is so much harder to get all this stuff done. But I know for Michael over the summer, gosh, I can't tell you how much stuff he did. He created like that calendar with all the pictures and the quotes and like the birthdays and the national deadlines. And it was honestly the most helpful thing, because I remember he sent it. He played. It's like out of a movie. He like he planned it so perfectly. Like the execution, like right as NatCon ended, he put them in a Manila envelope and like sent them off. And they're like, "Wow, this kid's like already got his stuff together." And so I guess you can like talk about it more, then we'll kind of get into other topics. But like, I guess we'll just talk about, why Silver Wings is important to us. I think that's a good, let's start with you, because honestly, you're the one who recruited me, and you're the one before me, the first one to be there. So why is Silver Wings important to you?
So Silver Wings is important to me because being a part of something just bigger than myself and seeing all the people, the leadership opportunities that I get to affect people's lives and for the better good. Just really getting to meet people from all across the country, all the different connections, potential job opportunities that come with it, and just really getting to have an impact on other people.
Yeah. And it's funny, Silver Wings is an organization, and that's so important to stress. A lot of my friends who aren't in Silver Wings are like, "How's that club you're in going?" I was like, it's not a club, man. It's so much more than a club. And if you join, you know that. I've tried recruiting them. Of course, they never listen. They say they have too much to do, which is understandable. But I wish they did it, because there's so much opportunity at their fingertips. And Michael, I'll be honest. I think that's like the key to Silver Wings, is you really have to just understand that there's so much at your fingertips, but you just gotta, I won't say work for it, but you gotta be patient, right? Like NatCons is like where you really network. That's when you finally meet everyone face to face, and you gotta wait the whole school year. But if you're able to go to exec boards, it's another opportunity to network. And I think being patient, but then truly understanding it, like what this organization stands for and the opportunity that you have at your fingertips, is what makes you successful. It's what drives you and gives you that motivation. And I think that's what, you understood it. You understood your why. Like Michael understood his why he was in Silver Wings, and that's what drove him. That's what makes him so passionate about it. And I think a lot of times is when, even outside of Silver Wings, if you have no idea why you're doing something, then it's very hard to have that motivation on wanting to carry those things out. Like in ROTC, if you have no idea why you're in ROTC, then it's going to be a very hard time for you to take it seriously. And I know, I don't want to talk too much about ROTC because I don't want people to get upset, but they always say, like, find your why. Like, why do you want to be here? Like, know the warrior knowledge. Don't just do it on. And I think for a while when I was in ROTC, I was like, oh, I want to be a pilot. And I think later on, around sophomore year, I truly realized like what I'm getting myself into. Like, why am I here? And for me, for Silver Wings, Michael was definitely an important factor in helping me understand that, because at the time, even on the chapter level, a lot of times you don't even know there's NAT staff. I don't think I even know there was NAT staff on the chapter level. I was like, okay, we're just our own little organization on campus, but then there's also other Silver Wings organizations on other campuses, but the chain of command goes way up above, and there's so much more to it. And I think I was finally exposed to that when I was on region staff. But to me, it was like community service, and that professional development. There's a lot of people who may come in, they have no idea how to write a resume, they have no idea how to interview. Well, this is our chance to make sure that they can do it. And, it's kind of up to you if you want to help them with that. But for me, that's what I love seeing, especially when I did my first project. Like, to see it, I think it's the best thing, is like seeing all this work you put into it and finally seeing it executed and it come together successfully. At the end, you're like, it was so worth it. Like, all the stress, all the stress that I had. I mean, how stressed out it was. Even when I was planning for the combat dining in for ROTC, I was an absolute mess. I was like, and I thought to myself, we had to. I remember I had to. I was all constantly in the office every time I saw Michael. I was like, Michael, what am I going to do? Like, I have to transport like 100 plus chairs and like 20 tables to this place. Like, how am I going to do it? And Michael's like, it'll work out. Like, you just got to trust it'll work out. And it worked out. It did. It's just one of those things you had to be patient. But, Silver Wings truly is important in developing people. And the people who stay in it, even for the NACs, they truly understood it. They knew their why, and that's where they are today. And the NACs were national presidents. And so, no wonder Michael is the national president. He understands his why and why he wants to be here. So for all those listening, whether you're a newly recruited into the chapter, or you may be on NAT staff, or you may be on region staff, is ask yourself, why are you here? And you may say, I don't really know. Well, we encourage you to find your why. And it doesn't have to be the same as everybody else's. It could be, I want to do this. Like, I want to find this opportunity, or I want to, steer this. We have the joint national project and everything. And it could be that. Like, it doesn't have to be anything specific, but it's for you. Like, you got to find your why. What is going to drive you in this organization? So, do you have anything to say about that, Michael? I feel like we've really talked about that.
Yeah, so finding your why, it's just really important. Many people join Silver Wings for one reason, but they stay because of the people. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of us on national staff have stayed for that reason, because you're a family. We're just one big happy family.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. And being on region staff, we were in contact with so many chapters. Now on the national level, I remember when we started, I had contacted all the region presidents, which is awesome. And, there's just so many happy personalities. They were so excited to get the ball rolling, so excited to be in these new positions. And some people, they weren't, they're like, I don't know what I'm doing, which is totally okay. We don't expect you to know what to do. But the fact that they had enthusiasm and they volunteered to do it, nobody forced them to be on region staff, but they stepped to the plate and said, I will do it. And we're so happy that they all did it. But I really enjoy getting to meet all these people. And I look forward to meeting them at exec boards and at NatCon and finally seeing them face to face. Because I really think that, you kind of get bogged down through the emails and like the texts, and it almost seems like you're talking to a computer at one point. But finally seeing them in person, like, oh wow, you're actually real. Like, you're not just like a drone sending me emails and giving me all these tasks to do. And, I can attest to that. And Michael, I'm sure you can too, is they have more personality in person than over email. But yeah, that's kind of why Silver Wings is important to us. And, for all those listening, if you ever want to pull us aside and just ask us more details about it, there's so much more to talk about. We have countless stories of being in Silver Wings. And, for me, I know my parents, being on national staff too, I always said, they're saying, do you want to go out to eat? I was like, no, I have a phone call. I have a phone call for NAT staff, or I got something with NAT staff. I'm like, wow. I said, for something you put so much work in, you don't get paid. And I was like, honestly, I was like, I don't want to get paid. Like, I don't think about that. Like, I don't think about I already realize what I'm getting out of it. And that's what's paying me. Like, that's what's keeping me going. And, of course, my why, but it's so cool. And I wish all my friends could be in it, because I have a lot of friends who have, so many capabilities and they'd bring so much to the table, but, it's kind of hard to recruit them. But I guess, for us being a NAT staff though, Michael, let's talk about that. It's a little bit different than the past NAT staffs, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is, especially with coronavirus and COVID-19 and just everything going on right now, as you could probably see if you turn on the news.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of different changes that we're going to be seeing over the next year. But as your national staff, we definitely have a lot of goals. And so my team and I are honored to have the opportunity to serve as your national staff. We hope to leave an everlasting legacy on our great nation and our organization, and help grow the Silver Wings Nation in unimaginable ways. Your Mississippi State University staff is excited to serve you in every way possible in the upcoming year. During our time as your national staff, my team and I want to build foundational professional relationships with each and every one of you, so that we can utilize your strengths to set the course for future generations of Silver Wingers. We hope to increase membership in each chapter and continue the addition of more internships, some in new fields that we've never branched out into, like business or healthcare. Working closely with our counterparts from the Daniel P. Woodward Squadron at Embry-Riddle, Daytona, we hope to grow joint relations and bridge the gap between Arnold Air Society, the Air Force Association, and Silver Wings. As we work with our regions and chapters, we hope to partner with organizations on the national level and see each chapter partner with local organizations, as community service and involvement are a key part of our mission. As we accomplish these goals, we hope to create a glowing image of Silver Wings on a national, region, and chapter level to grow our membership and partnerships. We plan to continue with the National Weeks of Service and the use of Slack. In the coming months, we will be preparing for the fall semester and the new challenges that will come. As we go through this current time of uncertainty, each of us carries with us a heavy burden. We all feel that we are in the dark and have no guidance as to what we should do. However, I do not want the members of Silver Wings to carry this burden, despite how hard the times may be. I want every member to truly understand what it means to have the knowledge, wisdom, and the courage to serve. During this time, we should have the knowledge to look for ways to serve our communities. I want us to have the wisdom to determine where our communities need us most. Most importantly, I want us to have a strong and evident desire to serve a nation that was built on service so that others may see our courage to serve. We are a family that is capable of moving mountains, and I want to see that across our nation. My team is here to serve you and make that possible in every way. I truly believe that we can take this time and be leaders of today rather than leaders of tomorrow. I believe that this is a time to showcase our leadership, our passion for service, and our dedication to developing others. We are truly excited for this upcoming year and want to see not only our organization grow, but our members grow as leaders. As we go through this next year, let me leave you with this one quote. Do what you can, with what you have, where you are. Theodore Roosevelt. This quote says so much with the times that we are going through. As Silver Wingers, we take an oath to uphold our mission of leading through community service. We have to be resourceful and do our part. As leaders, we have to use what is available to us. We have to overcome challenges and obstacles that lie before us. In this case, we have a virtual community that we can serve through. Serving does not necessarily mean going out into our communities in person. Serving is finding a time and place that you are needed. It can be helping fundraise for those in our communities that have been affected by the pandemic. Could also be making masks for our healthcare workers. Wherever you see a need, I hope that you will take action and do your part. I look forward to working with all of you this year. My team and I cannot wait to take on this new challenge.
All right, guys, and that concludes our first podcast. So it's those awesome words from Michael. Thank you for that. If you have any other questions or recommendations for this podcast or the kinds of themes you'd like to see, just contact Michael and myself, and we will do our best to make it happen. All right. A special thanks to everyone who took the time to listen to our first podcast episode. If you're interested in continuing to listen to our Silver Wings podcast series, be sure to follow the podcast channel. Please stay tuned for our next podcast episode, where we will have our first guest speaker right from your national headquarters at Mississippi State University.